We're here at XChange August in Washington, having an amazing time. It's a huge event. It's a fabulous venue. Really enjoying being here. We're here to talk about, give you a bit of thought leadership though, and talk about some of the research that we've been doing across CRN. I'm delighted to be here with Athina, Mallis, the editor of CRN Australia. We run a lot of thought leadership and research all over the world, but I'm going to talk about Australia specifically. So some of the research that we've done recently into AI has been interesting. So I want to kind of pick out a positive and a negative, and then we'll hand over to you for your thoughts, Athina. The negative, I was in market earlier this year, speaking to a lot of disties, a lot of MSPs, and they were saying that the explosion in AI and the explosion of data centers has created quite a component shortage. We know that, and we see that trend all over the world. But I spoke to some Australian disties who were just, it's giving them a really hard time. It's giving them a really hard time in the market because the lead times for a lot of their products have massively gone up, and the pricing now is incredibly volatile. So whereas in previous years they might have had pricing from their vendors that would be relevant for 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a whole year, give it to their clients take a while to make a decision, to get the paperwork through, get the invoices in order. But by the time they come back to their distie or to their partner, the price isn't available anymore. So they've got to either swallow the extra cost themselves, or they've got to really upset their client. There's two really bad outcomes for them there. So that's kind of on the negative side. On the positive side, what we've seen, and again, we see this globally, but it's really come out strongly in Australia as well, is the halo effect that we see around AI. So lots of you out there watching will be familiar with this, but you're going to speak to a customer ostensibly about AI. The customer might come to you and say, I want to talk about AI. What you end up, where the conversation ends up going and what you end up selling is completely different. So you might go in and talk about AI, but then there's a lot of stuff in the background that needs to be right before you can really run an AI project. So you might end up selling some something around data strategies, consultancy around that. You might end up selling some extra security software, or some extra compute, or some sort of cloud services. There's all kinds of other things, all the ducks that need to be in a row, if I can use that expression, before you can really make success of an AI project. So it's interesting how you'll go in with an AI conversation, end up selling completely different. That's what we're seeing for a lot of our sort of research crew, the cohort that we go to for research. That sort of message comes through loud and clear. Do you see that when you're in market doing interviews with your sort of contacts in Australia? Do those sort of trends come through for you?
Oh, they're so prominent, and memory shortage is something that they're talking about, that they're worried about, and it's not going to go away. Partners are now realistic; they know it's going to be staying for the next 12 to 18 months. Some people are saying 2 years. I'm like, well, that's so long. But I mean, that's the reality of it, and it's not even just partners; it's disties, it's vendors. Everyone's feeling the pinch with the memory shortages. But another thing I'm seeing as well is AI monetization. It is a massive issue. Partners want to make money; they want to find a way to use AI and make money off it. But there's an issue with it because it's like a piece of software, but they can't really make money off it because they're optimizing it, or they're optimizing their processes and their solutions. So I think that's something that partners really want to just hone in on and take advantage of, and really win with that. And I think eventually it will be a thing. But again, like, we forget that AI is still a nascent technology. Like, it has been around 10 to 20 to 30 years, but I think AI is still quite new in the market. For the past 2 to 3 years, it's still a new technology. So
Especially the current iteration, which is like generative AI, that's much newer. I mean,
Yeah.
AI is a horribly misused term, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you talk a lot of it. Yeah, it gets used for a whole panoply of things, most of which are nothing to do with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about generative AI, that is a bit newer. You're right. I mean, especially as journalists, we see things, right from the very first dawn. So we might have been talking about something for 5 years, but for the market, it's a lot newer. But
Yeah.
absolutely, I agree. It's really early days. I don't know if you agree with this, Athina, but what really occurs to me is, I feel like we've been saying the same thing for a couple of years now, which is that this huge amount of hype about AI. It's all we think about and talk about. It's just absolutely huge and everywhere. And yet there's not many companies making that much money from it. I do find that, in an area, in an arena that's moving so quickly, after 2 years, we're still having the same conversation. Like, yeah, isn't it great? How do you make money? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's also the problem, because people, like, they're talking about proof of concepts. Proof of concepts, I'm still hearing that, where they're going, well, we've got this idea and we've put it, it's not really coming off the ground, but hopefully next year we'll be able to, like, have a proper program and be able to run it. And so I think that's another thing that they're worried about as well. So it's like having the monetization of it, but also having proper programs. And it's funny looking through the award entries, like, people actually using AI and having the real life use cases, which is great, but it's still very hard and still nascent. But I think that's exciting. I think people are trying to rush into it, but then, when you rush into anything, it becomes sloppy and things like that. So people that are taking their time are actually finding cool new use cases and ways to use AI, which is also very encouraging and very cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it absolutely will come through. And, partners will be making a lot of money from AI in the future years. It's a bit like, I guess, cloud 15 years ago,
Yeah.
where as journalists, we were writing about it for years and years. And then, years later, you'd interview someone, they'd be saying, oh, yeah, we're still just dipping our toes in. It's someone else's computer, security concerns, all the things we hear about AI now.
Yeah.
But then obviously cloud is now just the default way to do anything. And the amount, I wish I had the number to hand, but there's the amount of billions of dollars that are in cloud
Yeah.
revenue globally is probably in the trillions rather than billions. But
Yeah.
AI will be in a similar boat as well. But it's just going to take a few years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, we don't really talk about, we do talk about cloud, but not as much as like AI is in
It's
cloud.
default.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It'd be interesting to see how and when AI goes the same way.
Yeah.
Well, to stick close to everything happening in AI, of course, visit Stuart in Australia. And to find out everything that's been happening at XChange August, go to our digital newsroom.